If life show you pepper, you turn out to pepper soup. And people of God, people of sports, welcome to Kicking It with Nairabit. My name is Tracy Chappelle, the one you call Swore, aka Swore, the Queen of Sports. I went the Christ to the Sea Road, and we are here on this couch to still talk about all the dry and not so dry football matters that played out over the week. I'm here with a man in black and a man in not black, grey. Let me start with the man on my far right, Senator.
No, don't be Senator.
Biola, how you doing?
Hi, good to be here. It's been a minute. How you doing? You're looking good.
I'm very well. You're looking trimmer than you dry. Have you been jumping over?
I'm working hard.
Okay.
Trying to bring sexy back.
Bring sexy back. Hashtag end whatever you want to end.
No, I'm always here. So no need for an elaborate
this guy to get pride. You never
So
when we
I'm
can call
always
his
here.
name, he just jump in. I just say GQ. Just
I have to keep it going. I have to keep it going. But it's good to be here. For
Good to
sure.
be here.
For sure.
Definitely, and welcome into the show. Let's start with the first talking point. People of sports, it is the dry and tactical. I won't call it masterclass. It was a milquetoast. Manchester United versus, if I say Liverpool, Lampard's Chelsea. We expected fireworks. Biola, what happened?
I'm not sure if we expected fireworks.
At least our last season feature, there were lots of football.
Yeah, but I think that Chelsea United, the big games, to some extent you expect fireworks, but you also prepare yourself for the kind of game that we saw, where both managers, have been struggling. I think Lampard has won maybe 3 of 9 games this season. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well. He hasn't won at Old Trafford. The last time at Old Trafford, he was pummeled 6-1 by Tottenham. So they were both managers who are sort of like still feeling their way into the season. So it was always possible that both of them would go into this game with the perspective that a point is fine. Not losing actually might be the first, objective, which we saw, play out in the game. As the game wore on, you'll have thought that maybe one of the sides would go for it, but we didn't see any of the side go. In fact, as the game wore on, it looked pretty much like either manager was ready to settle, for a draw. So I'm not so sure that the form and the way United and Chelsea have started the season signal that we were going to get fireworks. You are right when you said last season, I think it ended 4-1 or 4-0 for United at Old Trafford.
Chelsea was collecting goals.
And then the second game at Stamford Bridge, Igalo's debut, that one ended 2-0. I think
United won. It was
United
Chelsea just won one game.
Yeah, exactly. So, I to be honest, I really wasn't expecting fireworks. United haven't really settled into the season. Lampard as well is still feeling his way in. He's had a couple of really, quite intriguing and interesting results. So I thought that both managers would go into that game hoping not to lose, and that would signal that they probably will go in, for a draw, which was not the best result for either side, but also it's not the worst possible. Both managers are under pressure, so the point probably was what either would take and say was a satisfactory result.
Satisfactory result. Now to you, Mr. GQ, aka Yubby. We saw a man from Senegal save 3 times, goals or possible goals at the game. How would you rate the new boy Edouard Mendy? Is it like the safest hands right now? Is it growing? Is it what it is? Do Chelsea finally have savings bank?
I think they have they finally have a goalkeeper which they've been looking for, and they spent a shitload of money for goalkeeper. I strongly believe that Edouard Mendy is, when you look at him, I think it represents more than just Chelsea goalkeeper, and from an African perspective, I'm rooting for the kid to succeed. African goalkeepers naturally have this stereotype that they're not the safest pair of hands. There's always a mistake in them.
They don't get a lot of opportunities.
So, and done a bit of research on his background as well. Couldn't get a job for such a long time, and I connect to such stories.
Yeah, inspiring story.
I think we all really do. So. From that perspective, obviously, I'm not inclined to support Chelsea people, but I get the feeling that he's one that can rally the whole continent together in many regards. And aside that, the sheer quality he brings is there for all to see. He's a tall guy, really tall guy, but the way he gets down is really good. Tall goalkeepers normally, Courtois, we give him that criticism, they don't get down easily, but we saw a save from Marcus Rashford, got down really easily, and he looks like he's not out of place. When you're a kid from Africa, sometimes you can get, is this the right place for me? That kind of thing. He doesn't look any of that, and I really like what I see about Edouard Mendy. Shout
out to Peter Cech, his trainer, if you get what I mean.
In some sense, he reminds me of Cech.
Yeah.
When Chelsea bought Cech, it didn't cost a lot of money, and it was a really young kid.
Yep.
And they brought him over from, I think, Rennes as well.
Yeah. Same guy.
And everyone thought, where did this kid come from? he ended up becoming, an EPL legend. In fact, by second season, it was almost in quotes unscorable.
Yeah,
exactly.
So wait. I need to ask this before we throw this to the watchers online. And if you want to join, you know what to do. You can see the scrolling up there from YouTube, from Twitter, from Facebook. There are places to enter to be part of the conversation. Do you think this is the end of the road for Kepa Arrizabalaga? Yes or no?
Well, obviously, if this is not the end of the road, well, the end of the road is near. Chelsea are looking to replace him. It cost £70 million.
Yeah.
And they brought in a 27 million pound goalkeeper who has gone in to replace him. If Mendy, if he continues to perform like this, it will become number one. Nobody pays £70 million to have a number two goalkeeper. What that then means is that they will try to get him, off their books. The reality of the matter is that I feel that he gets unfairly criticized in terms of how literally every goal Chelsea concede is attributed to him. He's a systemic...
But he was the worst keeper last season in the EPL.
Hear me out. In terms of sheer numbers, Chelsea have shipped 63 goals in 43 games under Lampard. That's a failure of a system, right? So there's the systemic failure. You can now isolate and pick out Kepa and agree that in key areas of goalkeeping is probably not good enough for that level, of football.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that they will even have him in as a number two, so to speak. They probably will ship him out and bring in another number two, and they probably will lose a lot of money on him.
Yeah.
It looks like he has taken his demotion, in good spirits. He says the right stuff about supporting Mendy and all whatnot. But hey, like I said again, costs so much money. He's got like an 8-year contract.
Yeah.
Him being on the bench, it just wasn't the plan.
Yeah.
It wasn't the plan. And I'm sure that eventually, probably, will pick up his stuff and go back, to Spain. The reality is that it hasn't worked. But like I said, Kepa is not the reason why Chelsea have shipped all of these goals.
Yeah.
They had, and we can still see, like the game against West Brom and a couple of other games, that fundamentally, as a system, they haven't gotten it right from a defensive point of view, which is, the work that Lampard has got to do. He has front-loaded his team, he has overloaded his team going forward. But at the back, if you are scoring 3 and you're not winning games, you're in big trouble.
In big trouble. And on that note, we will run to another side of London. Still the northern side of London. I like this guy, Sha. The guy remind me of poor man's Pep Guardiola, but I go manager. I'm talking about Mikel Arteta. See, it's not every day you get to see a coach that now fine boy, he be like model. And if they sad when they squeeze space for touchline, I know you guys won't relate, but babes will not go relate. When
trophies, man.
When fine, they cry for. They be like saying won't cry for dugout. They be like, guy, come. Let me help you. Aubameyang, please come. Just help him. So quickly, let's run to the Arsenal fans and their style of play from what we've seen last week. Yubby, do you think there's an Arteta style, or they are just vibes and inshallah right now?
No, look, I feel. With Mikel Arteta, every time I watch him, I think he's in the team where he has to make do with what he, has. And, that was the start of the process for him. But I think he's now gotten at least a transfer window under his belt. And I think Arsenal have done more than he would have expected. Certainly more than I would have expected. To bring in Partey at the last minute was good business. So there has to slowly be a point where the conversation starts to shift from I'm working with the tools I have to
the team is mine.
The team is becoming mine. So I think that transition is where we actually now find out the real managers, because when you have a safety net about you need 10 transfer windows, you can still flex your muscle, but now it's the real deal. And obviously they didn't play well against Leicester.
To take your point further, I think that he has bought himself some time by winning the FA Cup so quickly, and also the Community Shield. It's not supposed to be important, but the symbolism for Arsenal beating Liverpool, exactly. So I think he has bought himself some time, and when managers buy themselves some time, they can suffer the kind of result against Leicester without too much, of a backlash. What we've seen with Arteta is that he is fundamentally not beholden to a footballing philosophy. The general idea apes, so to speak, maybe the Guardiola approach, the general idea. But he has shown, particularly in away games against the big teams, that he can be a bit pragmatic, and sit back and try to hit on the break, basically cater to, defensive frailties. So I personally like managers who are not slave to philosophies.
Taking the results.
I'm not drawn to money. I don't like the romanticism of a right way to play. I think that in competitive sport, the most important thing in competitive sport is winning.
Okay.
The style of winning is subjective. The point of winning is Bayern won the Champions League, however I feel about it. Were they the best team? We can have a conversation. who is the champion? It is Bayern. So I like managers who walk back from what will help me win. And that's what we saw even in the FA Cup that he won against Manchester City. The way he approached the semi-final, you could see exactly. So I think that you can't go wrong. Or a manager who has that approach is probably the kind of manager that Arsenal can have. Because look, if you're an established big club like Barcelona, and you're like a Manchester City who have endless resources, you can be slave to a philosophy, using your money as buffer to buy the highest level players to play that philosophy. If you're Arsenal, where you have to be intelligent, where you don't have all of the resources, then you have to be a bit more pragmatic and realistic. And I think that from an Arsenal point of view, I'm not saying Arteta is doing
this is the one you're talking. Sorry,
yes.
You said with not all of the resources, Arsenal still has the most expensive ticket in the fucking world. So let's never start. Okay, fans are not there.
Never really translates.
No, but that's not the point. That's not the point.
Never really translates.
They've been using. We don't have money for 10 years. They've been using that.
Nobody's saying they don't have money, but look, the data is clear. They don't spend as much as the big clubs. Even though you ask yourself, the little that they have, what are they doing with it? They paid 70 million for Pepe. They paid 27 million for Saliba, for instance, who they were shopping around trying to ship off. I'm wondering. I mean, a lot of people are excited about Partey. I'm waiting to join everybody to sing Partey after Partey when he scores. But I'm still asking myself that if they had a choice of a midfielder to make, was he another defensive midfielder? I thought that Neni hasn't been so bad in that role, and
he actually is better now.
Maybe they should be looking for a bit more creativity. I'm not knocking the signing. I'm just saying that it didn't appear to me, or it doesn't appear to me like exactly what they need. So yes, you are right in saying that they still spend a bit of money, and then we need to talk about how they are spending, that amount of money. But in general terms, they are not on the level, of the biggest clubs in the world. That means that they should have a manager, I think, who in some way has a general philosophy of football, but layers winning above his approach to football. So managers, they walk back from like a Marcelo Bielsa, like a Pep Guardiola.
No. See, Biola, you call me Guardiola. And anytime he says, let me just give people a spoon. Anytime Biola says Pep Guardiola, we don't go come here. So
no.
I'm going to
That's
Spain.
Fine. There's no.
Mama, I'm going to Spain because I'll see what you do with Guardiola. This is not it.
Hey, we gotta go to Spain.
I told you the best Biola Guardiola versus.
No. We are not doing this.
I'm not gonna go there.
See, guys, we'll be back. We will be back after this break. Up on this level. You want to carry me through the. We'll be back after this break. If you have any comments about what we've said so far on Arsenal, if you agree with Yubby, if you agree with Biola, drop your comment right.
Disagree.
See, we live for the banter. So anything where you feel like, if you just want to come and put take 5 on the comment, we appreciate feedback. We'll be right back. Welcome. And we are back to the couch, kicking it with Naira Bet. And yeah, you did. How do they say it in the streets? If you two stay for party, you can't begin to wash plates. So let's make this short, sweet, and nice because, as we all know, there's a curfew even on the timeline. I'm going to take this conversation to Spain, where we saw. I won't talk about the Ramos show for the what's it called, El Clasico. I'm just going to talk about the conversation that played out after that El Clasico. And people came out to say Sergio Ramos, Spanish man, big man, the king, is probably the best, if not among the top best defenders in the world, top 5. And for people like us, when we say people like the Cafu, the Nesta, the Maldini, Cannavaro, I felt like maybe we should carry this conversation here. And let's table it because I see white in some people's beer. I know you're not polishing your beer. So it's transgenerational small.
Oh, yes.
So Biola, let me take it to you. You've seen like 2-3 decades of defenders. Maybe like Ramos.
2. Yeah. I mean, so the reality of the matter is that when you discuss these things, there'll be recency bias. The one you have watched in recent times probably would rank high. That's why some people look at Van Dijk and say he's the best defender ever in EPL history. The same history. EPL, we had Carvalho, we had Terry, we had Ferdinand, we had Vidic. You can go maybe not on and on, but certainly players that you place above him. The first thing one will say is that Ramos is an absolute legend of the game. I feel that because of his bad boy persona, also because he plays in a league where, obviously Barcelona fans, many as they are, cannot accept that he was a great he's a great defender. Like, he plays in a league where there's real tribalism in terms of how people support the club. So you're going to get a large number of people who will say that, oh, he's not fantastic, and you're going to get a large number of people who say he's fantastic. But if you want to be a neutral, you'll have to accept that if you look at his share numbers, the number of goals that he scored, if you look at the kind of goals he scores, the occasions that he scores, you've got to say he ranks, really, really highly. Will he make my top 5? I don't know, to be honest. I
was waiting after the Shalanya is over.
No, it's always important to provide that background. I probably would take a Franco Baresi. I think Baresi was part of a defense that considered only 8 goals in open play.
Thank you.
That's
what they said, Italian defense.
Across an entire season. I think that Alessandro Nesta, for how he elevated defending to with his elegance. I mean, he was a defender. He worked more with his anticipation, his tackling. He wasn't rough in any way. He brought some elegance, to defending. I probably will also, take a Fabio Cannavaro. Even ahead, of a Sergio Ramos. I would also take a John Terry.
This one shocked me.
I would take a John. I mean, John Terry and Ricardo Carvalho were part of a defense that considered only 15 goals. I mean, you hear some of these stats, they sound normal, but just calm down and think about it. It's 15 goals across 38 games. It is unbelievable.
Yeah,
it is unbelievable. I mean, it's insane. That's probably around an average of maybe conceding a goal every 2 games or even less.
Less.
It's frightening. It's frightening. So I probably will even take maybe like a John Terry. So I have Nesta, I have Franco Baresi, Cannavaro, and I probably will even take maybe. I go put Ramos away. because like I said, the number of goals he scored has to count for something. The occasions he scored also probably have to count for something. I'm not saying that this. I mean, you just asked me on the spot, so this answer is just. But I'm looking at those numbers. You've got to say that he probably should be in the conversation. To be fair, he's a legendary defender, and he makes such huge impact on the form and performance and results of Real Madrid. So much so that when he doesn't play, it's a fundamental problem for Real Madrid. As we saw in the game against, was it Shakhtar Donetsk? They lost that game. And then he came back against. I'm not attributing the loss and the win directly to him. But when he plays for Real Madrid, they go up several levels.
And speaking of levels, from one defender to another, I'm going to throw this to you because it's a defensive gaffe and a VAR gaffe and a referee gaffe, Mr. GQ. Sorry, today I go call you GQ referee. Every time you wear this glass,
just tire small.
It's doing me one kind. I'm like, thank God.
Let us rest.
I'm like, what's going on here? Please. We saw what happened in the Manchester United versus Chelsea game where there's a term in UFC, in mixed martial art, that they used to call that thing. Waiting Maguire do as Azpilicueta. Not the headlock, they call it a rear end
choke.
Yeah, that's what he did.
Right, you watch UFC?
Yeah, who doesn't?
No, he doesn't.
Please, you don't.
We argue about it all the time.
You're so wrong.
I've told him I will send him links.
My God.
He needs to get on board.
No Ronda Rousey vibe. No Notorious vibe.
Don't worry, we'll join the train.
He will join. You have no choice. Israel Adesanya. Agenda was agenda. But you know what? Azpilicueta, Maguire.
Yeah.
That kind of gaff. Is it something that a natural referee should just overlook and just take it that this is just defensive exuberance? Or this is like, but they don't bribe this guy for corner, make it be like, say, he close the eye for this kind of thing.
I'm surprised Biola didn't put Harry Maguire in his own. Are
they asking for top 5,000?
Well, I tell you what, right? Harry Maguire, obviously, I feel the struggles this season are well documented clearly. But to the incidents on the day, I just sense that there is so much of an emphasis on the VAR referees to not undermine the referees on the pitch, and I think that's the reason the VAR referee shouldn't have overlooked it. I think there is a conscious effort by the guys at VAR to make sure that the referee on the day isn't undermined or doesn't look bad because of the post match analysis and everything that follows. So in the end, if the referee misses it and he overrules it as something he doesn't see, it's the VAR's call to to check that out. But ultimately, I think it's a big gaffe on both parties.
Oh yeah,
you cannot.
I'm throw this question
you cannot do that because in the same sequence of play, you fast forward maybe a couple frames later,
Yeah.
and you're reviewing a Marcus
Rashford,
Rashford,
that Rashford
thing. So
nonsense.
that doesn't look good. That doesn't
Exactly.
look
I'm
good.
going to throw this to you because
It's the strangest thing I've seen.
it's still the same Manchester United in
Yeah.
the space of 6 games in between. We saw a Manchester United side that already finished the game. They blew, everybody go home, and then they drag everybody back to the field to play a penalty for a game that the call was already like minutes.
No, that was quite
So
quite strange.
when you
But
see
3
something
points
like
now, 3
that, like
points.
when you see,
Yeah. No.
when you see something like that and you see something like this,
No.
where Chelsea justified to say, yo, Oga Ref, you're supposed to drag this thing back and give us a penalty because you've done it before. There's a precedent.
I'm going to be honest. I thought that was a very, very disgraceful decision. I'm a United fan, but that was a penalty. Like, what's the point of VAR if I'm not going to take calls like that? We've seen VAR reviews for match actions that were nothing close to this.
No contact, zero contact.
This was, like you said, this
Yeah.
was wrestling. He literally wrestled the man, to the ground. I mean, if you know me, when it comes to football games, I like fairness. No matter, whose side I'm
Yeah.
on.
Fair is
like,
fair.
exactly, fair is fair. Like, this, it was an atrocity. And I think that because the whole essence of VAR is that just in case the referee misses it, in the spirit of being fair to everybody, we have an opportunity to look again. So you see that VAR did not review this, because normally VAR will review, all goals,
Yep.
Yeah.
and then key moments. And there's no way they could. I mean, there was replays. If you could watch
Yep.
replays multiple times, they could. I mean, I to be honest, I don't think there's any explanation
Yeah.
to even other than almost criminal negligence. Because, like I said to people, these decisions either win points or cost points.
Definitely.
These points reflect in the results of teams. The results of teams help shape the position and perception of teams. The position and perception of teams reflect in their money. We are talking here about decisions that have significant financial impact on clubs. And so I think that if you gave the Maguire decision to Chelsea and you gave the Rashford decision to United, I don't think that people will argue. But when you are reviewing the Rashford incidents, for instance,
And you
and you don't even review, because if you review these Maguire incidents by for every rule in the book, that was a penalty, and maybe even possibly booking for Maguire, because that was wrestling right there.
Wrestling right there, but still football right here on Kicking It with Naira Bet. You are still with us. I'm not going to talk who was B, you already know who we be. After this break, we'll come back for the review. Don't forget, the best betting odds are on the Naira Bet website. And when we come back, we'll go shake all the shakeable. Where are the stones? We'll look into the crystal and we'll tell you what to do for the weekend. Welcome. So the crystal ball tells us that we will be looking into 3 games today, and we'll see if we chip 1 or 2 things to taste it, make you smile. Welcome back to Kicking It with Naira Bets, and I'm Tracy Chappelle, the one you call Swore, still with Biola Kazeem, aka Senator, and GQ, aka UB. Just hola like that. First game on board. First game on board, we'll be looking into the Manchester United versus Arsenal game. And I'll throw this to you, Biola. Manchester United have been on a very topsy-turvy kind of fixture this season.
It's uneven.
Yeah. With the way they played Chelsea last week, how you see this Arsenal game to go?
Probably looks to me like a draw.
A draw too.
Yeah, it looks like a draw. United have been very uneven this season. We've seen them go from the Brighton game to that disaster against Tottenham, and then to win against Newcastle last minute, and then they went to PSG. Very, very creditable win. And then that
was your best performance, actually.
Oh yeah, so that's why I said it's uneven. You literally can't sit here and predict how United will play, and so I think that they're also playing against an Arsenal side that we know that Arteta can approach these games and just focus on the result. And I think that in the shape both teams are, I think that neither manager would really go for it. And I think that it looks like it's got a draw written over it.
Under 2.5 over 2.5.
I think probably will be under 2.5.
Under 2.5.
Yes.
You've gotten the odds right there. Crystal Palace 1. Abi, Crystal Ball 1 already. Crystal Ball 2 to you, Mr. Yubi. The next game on board should be, let's look at a Liverpool versus West Ham game. And with Everton, on same points with Liverpool, do you think they're going to go for it this time? Don't forget that West Ham has also been the team that's been shaving points off the big boys this season, so they are like the Udu team now. How do you think they'll approach it?
A bit of a boogie team for some of the big boys in quotes. Obviously, took points off Tottenham after Tottenham had run away. Also, I think in the last game as well.
Yeah.
I think it was
City,
City. Yeah.
yes.
So look, I think West Ham are what West Ham are. You know, the fact that Liverpool have a different dimension to their game, I just sense that Liverpool will not drop too many points in the close succession. You know, obviously they'll drop a couple of points more in the season, but you know, I just sense that West Ham have, you know, maybe used the turbo, overextended themselves. You know, you can't play that many big boys in quick succession and keep taking up points. However, if there's anybody who could do it, it's David Moyes, because he, you know, considers himself as his top manager.
It's coming
as well.
back to the best Moyes of ever.
So that could happen, but I just sense that Liverpool, as we have seen, would know that there is a real chance now to get ahead of the rest. You know, City obviously not doing well, United not doing well, Arsenal not doing well, Chelsea not quite there yet. I think Liverpool would know that this is a chance to now, you know, go ahead of the rest, and I think Liverpool will win. Yeah.
Okay, straight win.
Yeah,
Any
straight win
GG?
for Liverpool. I think it's kind of games like your Mane and Mo Salah score a couple of goals, so I think Liverpool will win. So I would say an over 2.5.
Over 2.5,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, put your money on a GG, because that boy called Mikel Antonio is an idiot and he's a bit the one showing himself for big teams. I'm just saying. But I'm going to move this one to Spain again for the last game for the Crystal Ball, and that game would be Deportivo Alaves and Barcelona. Barcelona came out from the El Clasico. They cry, the referee, now why your guy? Papa, now Real Madrid fan. Now they have no excuse.
Yeah.
This should be a game they should bounce back with.
Yeah, and I'll be surprised if they don't win. I think it will be 3 easy points for Barcelona.
3 easy points.
It will be really, really, really shocking. I mean, they don't win. It looks like the kind of game where after the El Clasico, if they lose this, they get into a rut. Everybody's under pressure. You can see real dislocation in the team, and the manager could go. It looks like the kind of game where if you don't win, then people feel like, okay, so we lost to Madrid, and now we're losing to these chaps. So what exactly are we? And once the team gets into that frame of mind where they are uncertain, where they've lost a lot of confidence, it becomes really difficult. So to forestall that, I think that they will be able to rise above the outside chance that these guys will win and just, you know, smother them with their quality. And there's a lot of quality in that side still.
I'll ask you this one. Is this a Messi magical moment kind of game, or is this the Ansu Fati show? Which one is it?
I think Ansu Fati picked up a little problem. I think Messi also picked up a little problem. So there's so many problems for the team. I think I agree with Biola. You know, if you can't win games like this, regardless of who's on
after the disappointment of an El Clasico, where your fans are, you know, despondent and angry and, you know, in despair, you've got to find a way.
You've got to find a way to win.
So
I think
straight
Barca
win
will
for
win.
you.
Straight win for Barca. Yeah.
Christmas ticket, my people. Let me just tell you, this is the game Alaves will cast everywhere. If you have a Christmas ticket, Alaves to get a draw or get a straight win. I don't put water for mouth for this one. I talk about.
No,
Thank you for coming through. Time to run off before uniform people start flogging all of us. Yubi,
Yeah, thank you.
always great seeing you here.
Always.
And your perfume.
Good to have you on this side. It's always great.
Yes. Anyway, we'll get back to you next week. Keeping safe, and you know what? All of us try to build Nigeria big. Now the only one we get. You know, we're out. Look.